Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Of course, my name is Kent, and the channel is EOS San Diego, and I make a nightly video about the EOS blockchain. And I want to talk a little bit about EOS and where I believe this is all going, like I spoke a little bit about last night. But what I really think is going on here more than anything is that EOS has to lead us into a new age, a new world, a new time, a new paradigm. Because what's happening in the big picture is that currencies, fiat currencies, centralized systems are dying. People can't prosper under those systems any longer. The borders, the inability to be able to trade globally, the inability to be able to interact people globally, the inability for all this to happen in a global time and a digital age. The centralized systems are going to let us down. Fiat currencies are going to let us down, and of course, a lot of government rule, regulations, and oversight is going to let us down too. So this has to give way to a new age, a new time, a new paradigm, for lack of a better word, a new way. And I think if companies, or not companies, there I go again, if platforms and communities like EOS don't lead the way, then something else will. Something like EOS has to fill those voids. It has to do something like this. This is the new time, and this is a new way for younger people to prosper. When I was younger, banks literally lent money. I mean, you could go down and borrow money from a bank to start a business, buy a house. Today, banks don't lend money. Banks basically just take money by charging you fees and by holding your money, but they're not a way to go out and get money anymore. When I was younger, you could go to a bank, you could borrow money to start a business, you could borrow money to do things with. Today, that just doesn't happen. As banks have gotten more conglomerate and they have merged to where they're very centralized, it's very difficult to do business with a bank or get any kind of ability to borrow or be able to do something under a banking system. Under the system we have today, it's very limited. Very, very difficult, especially with interest rates as low as they are. Very difficult to do. And governments are very limited and very very controlling and very what we're going on with right now with China and the United States, the trade war. That's all very limiting. I mean, countries feeling like one country is getting an advantage over them, and they have to do some sort of what we're doing right now, tariffing products coming into the United States, and China's doing back the same thing that we're doing to them. So this is all very restrictive. It's very archaic is the word I'm looking for. It's just not a new way of doing things. We need to move into a new way of doing things, and that's going to be the blockchain. That's going to be something like EOS, and if EOS doesn't do it, something else will. There's going to be a new shift into some sort of new way of transacting business in order to transact wealth, in order to exchange, trade, a globalization of the whole world. It's going to have to take place. And I see the blockchain as that, as a response to that. And I think EOS has to lead us into that new time. EOS has to lead us into that, or something like EOS. If it's not EOS, it's going to be something very close to it. It has to be able to take over that new spot. But I want to talk a little bit more tonight. So about Vitalik. Vitalik is going on about a little bit. I saw a video. He's got a real short haircut. And he talks about how EOS is a centralized system. And I want to discuss that a little bit. When you really think about EOS, and everybody goes, oh man, I got 21 block producers, and the block producers make all the decisions, and so it's so centralized, and we got these 21 people doing basically doing all the governance and everything like that with EOS. I would argue that point. And the way I would argue that point is it's not the 21 block producers that are making the decisions. It's the actual voters. Everybody that stakes and votes in EOS gets an opportunity to be heard. If you got one token or if you got 100 million tokens, you have an opportunity to be heard. Now, Vitalik's making the argument that there's big stakeholders like Bitfinex who have a lot of tokens who can actually vote themselves in a block producer. That's what he's saying. Bitfinex basically voted themselves as block producers. And he's saying, oh well, this is so centralized, and it's just a bad platform, and so on and so forth. But you could argue that point that there are big people own a lot of tokens, Bitfinex being one of them, Block One being another one. But the real the real issue is that the community makes bigger decisions. How you doing? The community yeah. How you doing, man? The community makes bigger decisions than single block, single vote, single people that hold tokens. So Bitfinex maybe holds, and I can't remember. Vitalik said 1 or 2% of the tokens, and we know Block 1 owns 10% of the tokens. So Bitfinex owns a lot of tokens, but that's 99% or 90% without Block 1 that can all get together and vote something different than what Bitfinex wants. So the community is in charge. It's just the community has to be activated, and the community has to make the decision. The community has to all decide in unison to do something, and when the community decides together, and of course, if somebody is, I believe, acting irrational or acting not in the best interest in the blockchain, that the community will all be able to make the vote to eliminate that block producer or those whoever it is that's not acting in the best interest of the blockchain. So this is in the voters' hands. It's not in Bitfinex's hands. And Bitfinex, sure, they have a lot of tokens and they make a lot of decisions. You can make a lot of decisions, but the community can counter those decisions by acting together. That's why I think videos like mine are important, and I see some other people making some videos. We're important to the community because we're giving a lot of information to the people so they can make rational decisions and good decisions on who to vote for and who not to vote for, and how to act as a community, because community has way more power than one single token holder, including Bitfinex and anybody else. The tokens are distributed enough, even though all the whales, and people talk about whales all the time. I never talk about whales because I think it's boring. I'm not interested in whales. I'm interested in community, and I'm interested in single people that are able to make a voice by acting together and by everybody knowing what's going on. Full disclosure. Of course, with the blockchain, you have full disclosure. The full disclosure is what makes this community valuable. Making sure everybody knows what's going on and everybody acts together. So the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of accounts that act in unison together, if somebody is acting, like I say, not the best interest of the blockchain, can change this. It can change anything. So as Vitalik would say that the EOS is centralized, I say it's not centralized, because it's in individual account holders' hands to make decisions and make changes. And acting as a group, as a unified group, there's more power with EOS's community than there is with any single stakeholder or any single whale that owns multiple tokens. That would be my answer to Vitalik, that this is the best system available, this is the best system going. Not perfect, but the very best going. And like I say, it will have to fill a lot of void in the future, because there's going to be a lot of need for something like EOS to take over these centralized systems. You know, there's a quote, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but Amschel Rothschild supposedly said that let me control the currencies and I care less who makes the laws. And that's the way it is with what's going to happen in the future. Whoever controls the ability to trade globally, controls the means of trade and global transfers in the future, will be the one that makes the rules, not the individual countries or the individuals that create laws. It's going to be in the hands of that. And you can let you can let an organization, a community like EOS have that authority, or somebody else is going to have that authority. But it's not going to be still in the hands of I think basically fragmented countries, people acting in kind of a rogue manner, or it's not going to be happening through fiat currencies. Fiat currencies are not going to be the way of the future. They're not digital, and they don't work in a global system. They just don't work. They're going to have to be replaced in some way. So anyway, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.